Okay, guys. Does anyone have any questions about the stuff we've gone over so far? Hyperkeys, some of the stuff in hyperkeys. We're going to go in depth about hyperkeys and some of the stuff in hyperkeys, but you know, the stuff that we've gone over. How do you get into hyperkeys?
Alt-Z.
Huh?
Alt-Z.
Alt-Z. How do you print? It's a command for print. The command to print?
Alt-E. Alt-O.
Alto.
Oh, Alt-O.
And if you want to go in,
Out.
yeah.
Oh, there it is. Alt.
So if you want to get into a file,
Oh, you're asking.
so if you're at the Eclipse homepage and you want to get into a file,
Alt-I? Alt-E? No.
Alt-E.
Alt.
I don't think we've gone over block files yet. Those are some of the major things that you're going to use pretty much every day. Okay? Hyperkeys. What is it again?
Alt-Z.
Alt-Z. Print.
Alt-O.
Get into a file.
Alt-E.
I think that's it. Okay, good. Guys, if you haven't started using this on your test, start doing it. Okay? And after tonight, you should be able to, especially with hyperkeys. We're going to learn the movements, the basic movements in hyperkeys now. So after tonight, you should be able to do it. Okay? And it's going to feel weird at first. I know, because I was there too. You know, when I first, and you know, the biggest thing about change is the fear of change. You know, people get used to what to their comfort zone, and I'm telling you guys, this is a whole brand new way of doing things, and it's so much easier. Once you learn it, it's so much easier, and you're going to say, God, I wish I would have done it a long time ago. I really do. And the more you mess with it, the more you're going to become familiar with it, and the more it's just going to become second nature. Okay? But I mean, if you think that you're just going to come to class and learn it, you're not. Okay? You're wasting your time and you're wasting your money. Because when you're taking this class next semester and it's the first class again, or you're taking the advanced class and it's just way over your head, I mean, you're going to be lost. Okay? So I'm telling you this because, you know, you need to start using it, and we're not that far advanced to where you know, you're going to be lost. Okay? Everything's still cool. I mean, learn how to do it right now. This is the mere foundation of this software. Okay? When we get into next semester and to the advanced, that's when you're going to start really learning some things, you know, and putting a whole transcript together. Okay? Does that make sense? Do y'all have any questions?
Mine was just a dumb one. I can't remember today in testing when I was on it, how to just make a word capitalized. What is that?
A.
Okay.
Just A. And A will toggle it. So if it's a cap and you wanted to make it small, hit A.
So it'll just,
If it's small, you want to make it a cap, hit A.
And you've got to be in hyperkeys right for that.
Yeah.
and then the other one was how to make the punctuation at the end of the sentence if you wanted it to be a period at the end of it.
Just P. P is a period, Q is question.
And I can do that at the beginning of the sentence.
You can do it anywhere in that sentence, and it'll put it at the end of the sentence. It's not going to put it at the end of a paragraph. If it's a run-on paragraph, it'll put it at the end of the paragraph.
Okay.
But it's not going to put it at the end of a paragraph if you have 4 sentences in there, or even 2 sentences in there. Okay, it's just going to put it at the end of the sentence. But you can be anywhere in that sentence. P is period, Q is question. Mark. Okay, so they try to keep it, they try to keep it easy with the movements that they do to try to relate to what you're trying to do. This is going to be the only part that they don't. Okay? Is what I'm fixing to show you, or getting ready to show you, is the movements. Okay? But it's real easy, and it's all done on your right hand. Okay? So reaching for arrow keys slows you down, okay? With hyper keys, you can perform the same cursor movements using the keys on which your fingers naturally rest. So that's what they want you to do. They want you to keep your hands on, your keyboard most of the time, okay? These assignments also correspond to the inverted T layout of the computer's arrows. So this is the movements right here. And I want, everyone's open to either the lesson or to something else, right? If you can, open a job that you did, and not a job, but like a test or an old practice thing, just open up something to where you can mess around. Something where we can mess around, and if you mess it up, it's not that big of a deal. Okay? You're open? Okay. Everyone there? Yes. No.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Everyone there?
How do I find something? I don't know.
Go into Alt-E.
Oh. You just told me. Okay.
I know these things are weird. It's gonna sound like, and just pick a day. Pick today if you want to. If it was practice. Do you have files in there? You should have.
It seems like I normally do. Or it's just showing me all the
You should have a
lessons.
real-time file in there. Do you write real-time every day?
Mhm. Okay, here's one from today.
Okay. Just open it.
Was that your test real time?
Oh. My test that I didn't. Well, no, it said it was was from 3:50 p.m.
But just do an old test that you turned in. It doesn't matter. Just something. It doesn't really matter.
The transcripts button.
I'm sorry?
If you go to the transcript button. and
Yeah.
Is that the same?
Yeah,
thing?
as Alt-E.
I
Yeah.
don't know where they all are. I used to have a whole bunch listed here.
You don't have any?
I mean, it's all showing just the lessons. Maybe I need to go back to ways.
Get out of that. You can't have two things open. You gotta get out. That.
Oh, I can't be in here?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
So right there. So Alt-E. Just go down and find it.
This is the one, but there's nothing there. I just opened it. Maybe there's
What
something
about the one?
missing.
You don't have anything.
Usually I can see, like if I go to file, look,
There's only your recents. Just open only your recents. Go to the next one.
where are they?
That's your dictionary. You need to close all of them because you're opening more and more files. Recent. Go on way down, go down a little bit.
Usually I have a whole list of them. I don't, unless I somehow deleted them all.
Get out completely. Let me go back in and see if you can get it. It may just, you're in the tutorial.
Oh,
It may just, that may be it. Just acting
He's laughing at you.
Okay, go to Alt-E. All right.
All right.
Just gotta go up to the top of the page.
Okay, all right.
So to capitalize, it's just P, right?
Use the period. That sentence.
Reaching inverted.
Messed up.
Darn,
Okay, and to insert, to insert to correct right here where it says driver, I have to be at the beginning of the sentence. So when I
But I can read it
insert
over there.
it, sometimes
That's
when I hit the enter twice to delete it, will it just delete what's behind it?
Oh, similarly. Oh, there it is,
Okay.
similarly. Oh, it makes it
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, guys, y'all ready? Y'all on something?
Yeah, we're on.
Is yours not?
I don't have, I'm in theory.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, so put your hands on the key, on the keyboard, on your home, on the home station of the keyboard. Which should be J, K, L, and then comma,
Right.
okay? And it's real simple movements, okay? From here, I, go I. Keep your hands on the,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
yeah. Go I, just go up. And then K takes you down a sentence. I takes you up a sentence. See that? K brings you down a sentence. And then L takes you over a word. And J takes you left a word. So L, right a word. J is left a word. So that's the 4 movements right there. Okay? Mess with that a little bit. I mean, it takes some getting used to, I mean, because, you know, you think if you're reading along, okay, you're going to go, oh, jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have to reinstall?
Who? Do what?
You have to reinstall a lesson?
Do you?
No, I'm just, there it is.
Okay, so mess around with that a little bit. I is up, 1 sentence. K is down, 1 sentence. L is right 1 word. And J is left. Okay? Now, if you want to do it, and I don't, you know, I'm telling you this just because just to know, but the arrows work too. But the whole point of using this software is to keep your hands on the keyboard. Okay, so learn the keyboard. Don't really use the arrows. But, you know, if you want to move over 1 character, then it's control. It's control arrow. Either way.
And Shift L, I mean, if you hit Shift, you can remove 1 character.
Yeah.
Or make it a
Shift
capital.
Yeah,
Wait, what is that?
shift.
Shift with the letters?
Yeah, so shift,
Yeah.
shift L,
Oh, that just changed
Shift J.
my life.
hmm?
That just changed my life. That's awesome. Really easily.
Yeah,
Mm.
okay. So these are, you know, And then you come, and that's what they're telling you right here, is the shift, which is the large characters, which is the shift, is going to take you up 2 sentences. It's not 1 sentence. It's going to be 2 sentences. Because if you just do the I, you do the small I, it takes you up a sentence. If you do the shift, it should take you up 2 sentences. Does it?
My regular one just takes me up 1 line within the same sentence, while the other one takes me to the beginning of the sentence.
To the beginning of the sentence?
Yeah,
It should take you
Mine took me to the beginning of the sentence.
Yeah.
to the beginning of the
Yeah,
sentence?
the first one just takes me up 1 line at a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I thought it took you up 2 sentences. It'll take you up to the beginning of the sentence. Okay? So the shift will take you to the beginning of that sentence, you know, regardless of whether it's 3 or 4 lines.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could have a run-on sentence that goes 4, but you want to get to the beginning of that sentence, and it's shift. Shift I, or if you want to go to the end of the sentence, then it's shift K. Okay? And then the shift J and L will take you over 1 character either way. Okay? Excellent things to know there, guys. Really important with this software and moving around in hyperkeys is those movements right there. Okay, and also you needn't move to a punctuation mark to edit it. Okay, and that's what we've talked about last week, I believe, also. At the first letter of a word, automatic punctuation features make it easy to change, you know, a preceding comma to a period, question mark, blah, 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 whatever. Okay? Do you understand what it's saying there? So even in the middle of a sentence, you know, you push Q and it'll take you to the end of that sentence and put a question mark. You push P, it'll take you to the end of that sentence and put a period. Okay? So mess around with that a little bit. That's actually pretty neat. And, you know, the way that they do it in hyperkeys is that you can be right here and you don't have to worry about moving over and putting the comma. You know, if you want a comma right here, you needn't move to a comma punctuation mark. You don't have to move. All you have to do is stay right there, push comma, it automatically puts it right there. Okay? You want a period right there, you put a period, it automatically puts the period, moves it over 2 characters, and it capitalizes it. Okay?
How did it know?
You in the back.
Yeah. How did it know that it didn't want that period? Oh, you just actually entered the period.
Yeah, I just entered the period right there. So what it's going to do is it's always going to come back and put the period. So if you want the period at the end of at the end of punctuation, then that's not where you put it. You come to mark, then put the period, then it comes back. So it always does in a reverse. Okay? Does that make sense? I don't know if I'm explaining it correct, but I mean that's what it does. You in the back.
Is there an undo?
Undo is Z.
Just Z?
Z.
That's right.
Yeah.
And
But if you want to take it away, like say you put a period right there, you don't need to really undo it. Just backspace and it kind of does the same thing.
yeah.
Or Z in hyperkeys will also do the same thing. Okay? So Z is the oops key.
Yeah.
So if you mess up, Z is the oops key. That's all right. You want me to get it? So really important things to know. How do you turn on hyperkeys?
Z.
How do you print?
Alt-O.
How do you get into a file?
Alt-E.
And the oops key.
Z.
Z. Okay. Okay, you're going to move over 1 word. You're going to move right 1 word.
L.
L.
Left one word,
J.
up,
Bye.
down.
J.
Yeah. So IJKL, okay? All right. Any questions about any of that?
No.
Okay. Hyperkeys are case sensitive, okay? So, you know, like I was telling you, once you have hyperkeys on, it's not a letter anymore. Now it's a command, okay? Real important to remember that, and it takes some getting used to, guys, and that's why I'm saying mess around with it, you know, especially like on a test where, you maybe didn't pass, you know, and it's like, nah, you know, well, this will give me the opportunity to kind of mess around with Eclipse, you know, and I'll see if, you know, I can, you know, paragraph or, you know, stuff like that. Have we talked about paragraphs?
Control P. I don't know if we learned that from here though.
We have talked about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Shift F5 is what I use. Shift F5 will take you to a different paragraph, and then you just tab over. So, you know, say you want it right here, and it's Shift F5. See that? See what it just did? You push Z, takes you back. So Shift F5 takes you to a totally different paragraph. Or Control J will take you back too. So the J means join. Okay? Or you can do Control P, will automatically give you the indentation, but you have to be careful because if your indentation, if you only want it to 5, then you know it may be, you may have to check your settings on that particular job, but it should take you there because I think it's going to take you wherever the paragraph starts, and that's where the paragraph starts and then kind of goes or whatever. So that's what they have the indentation at is what? 15 letters or so, 15 spots, give or take.
So if mine's
Ish.
not, if I do Control P and I always have to do Control P tab, is that because my settings are not indenting it?
Yeah, probably.
Because it just brings it down, but it's the same as doing a Shift F5.
It is? Yeah. Or you can just push tab and it should tab it over 5.
Yeah.
And then you push tab again and it should tab it over 10. I mean 5 more, which will take it to 10. So you just keep pushing tab or whatever, so.
What should it be at according to Texas transcript laws?
Well, I mean, you have to go into your user settings, and that's where it gets really weird because it's not what you would think it is. I mean, you know, if you go in there, let's see if we can go under, like paragraphs. See, it tells you right margin is at 120, left margin is at 0, indentation is at 0, and that's, you know, but it's all under the uniform format rules. And they have, you know, what your font has to be at, all of that stuff.
So it automatically though should be. the
It
way
should be there, but if not, then you know, you may need to tweak it a little bit. But we can talk about that in the next class when we're getting ready to do when we're going to do transcripts and stuff like that. Start working on transcripts. Okay. Okay. So any questions about, you know, doing a paragraph? Write that down, guys. I mean, that's not what we're learning right now, but that's really important. Either Shift F5 or Control P.
My Shift F5 takes me to the internet.
See, you have that thing where you have the function key, don't you?
Oh.
Yeah, so you're gonna have to do Shift Function F5.
Mine's not working either.
on the shift. Do the control, I mean, do the function.
Function of five?
You did and it still doesn't work?
No, my keyboard lights up.
Huh?
My keyboard lights up when I do that.
Sweet.
Mine
Keep
was-
doing it like a strobe light or
Second
something. I don't know, I mean, do you have like a Mac or something? Macs are really crazy. But, you know, mine is an HP, and I had to get with Nestor to figure it out. And I'll ask that guy, you know, or next time you see him, ask him, how do you take the function? I think someone even tried to Google it.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I think, tried to Google it. And you should be able to find out. I'll find out. I'll find out. But there's a function that you do, and it's real easy. It's like Control, Shift, Function, M or something. It's silly. You know, and then it takes it off. You know, because I don't have to do it anymore. My computer's the same way. Mine has the function button. But it won't let you use the F buttons by itself. You have to use the function buttons. Because if not, then they do something else.
Oh,
It does something totally different. Okay?
So it's always gonna be the shift F5 and then tab?
Or Control P.
Or control P?
So try Shift F5. Shift F5 should work.
I did it. These shift keys have a lot of other functions, like the volume and,
I'm going to need this
it's
stick.
got a lot of other functions.
how do I get rid of the insert?
It made up. So I've got the function key.
Oh, your insert key
Function
on your
shift and then
laptop.
F5. And then I turn off.
Just do Shift F5.
This one. Oh, okay.
So now you come down to a fixed line.
Oh, some people, if you have
Tab
your
over.
keypad over here.
And now it's taking you too far.
Yeah, and then
You can just have,
You're supposed to change it to something else, right?
so in this case, I did.
You have to be in hybrid key.
Control J. Control J will take you back.
Oh.
So Control J means join, so it's going to join that paragraph back with the other one. So if you made a paragraph and you need to get it back up, it's Control J. Okay? Now
Oh, there.
try it right there and try
And then
Control
just
P.
Control V.
P. Yeah, see? And that takes you to the new paragraph.
And then I just flip tab over.
Yeah, let's see tab. See, it's still taking me. The tabs are going to all you.
Like this.
One paragraphs. You can put it like a 5. That should. No, not that.
Oh.
You just gotta do it every time. You don't want it every time. And that's what it does. You don't want it to do that. On the indention, guys, be careful, because what it's gonna do is it's gonna automatically move it over, and you can go into it. Go into Alt-U. And you see where it says indention?
Under.
Alt-U, go into paragraphs. Sorry.
Oh, there we
See where it says
go.
indention? Now start messing with that a little bit. Go up and see how it's moving your
Yeah.
stuff over.
On mine, it's indenting 2 lines at a time.
It's indenting too. So you must have,
I might have selected as
Yeah.
both.
And
so you want it at 0, because you want everything to come all the way back. If not, then it's always gonna move your, it's gonna move your your left cursor over, and then it's always gonna be there. You see what I'm saying? So be careful with that.
and what should our right margin be? You said yours was 120.
I think it's at,
Mine's at 52.
and this may, yeah, it's at 120. And the left margin is at 0. But it could just be because I'm in this tutorial. I may need to get out of the tutorial and then kind of figure it out. So we'll kind of mess with that later. But we're not really doing that tonight. Okay? So how do you make a new paragraph?
F5, shift F5.
Shift
Or Control P,
and then tab.
and then tab over. Okay? How do you get into hyperkeys? New job?
Like to start a new
Job.
real-time job?
No, just to go into a job, find a job.
Oh, Alt-E.
Alt-E. And to print,
Alt-O.
and to fix an error,
Alt-C.
or Z, in hyperkeys. Okay, here they're just kind of going over it again. The capital J or control left moves left by one character, okay? And that's the shift, okay? It's not control, it's shift. Should be, yeah. It's shift, it's not control, it's shift. So it's capital J, capital L, capital I, capital K, okay? And the capital J moves it left, one character. Capital L moves it right, one character. Capital I moves it up to the beginning of the sentence. Remember? Capital K moves it down to the end of the sentence. Okay? Y'all messed with that a little bit? You think you got it? I'm telling you guys, mess around with that. Okay? This next week, mess around with that a lot. Because really, you really need to get used to your fingers being there and moving, because you know, you're so used to going, I'm sure, down to that arrow and moving over, and it takes some getting used to, trust me. But once you do, you're gonna see your editing time is gonna really get cut a lot. Okay? Just by moving over and not having to, you know, the more you use this, the more it's only gonna help you, so. Okay, Alt-T is to start a translation. Okay, that's when you've read a job in, you want to tran the job, is what, you know, reporters call it, tranning a job, and that's when, you know, you're going to go in there and put your dictionary and stuff like that. So if we're right here, you do Alt-T, that's what it brings up to. Translate notes. So remember, we went over that like the second week, where I showed you how to read in the job, blah, blah, blah. And you have the notes right here, so you go into notes. You have your jobs, you pick your job, open the job, comes back here. Then, you know, you can go into dictionaries, put any dictionaries you want to. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That's what they're talking about right here. Okay? This is pretty neat right here, guys. You want to write this one down. Alt-S. Helps you spell check a word. So you can be on any word right here, and you go to Alt-S, and it'll bring it up. Sometimes you have to push it a couple of times. I don't know why, if it's in a different mode or what, but some, you know, push Alt-S, and it'll tell you, you know, what do you want to do? Well, I wanted E-close. You know, instead of Eclipse, I wanted E-close. Okay, well then you press number 7 and it puts E-close. Okay? But that's not what it was. It was Eclipse. So Eclipse is number 8. Press number 8. Puts it back. Okay? And it'll tell you, like, you can go in there. So you can pick the word. The word's already in there. So there, I mean, there's things you can do. You can delete it, you can add it. You know, if it's a proper name that's not in your dictionary, you can add it. You know, and it keeps coming up. You know, and mine brings up like weird stuff. Like today I was doing a job and it was Ron Gray. And Ron, you know, was capitalized, and so was Gray. Well, every time I was going through spell check, you know, it kept stopping on Ron. That Ron wasn't in my dictionary. But then all you have to do is add it. When you're going through spell check, you just add it. And it automatically puts it in your dictionary. Or if it's a word like, I don't know, maybe like Concepcion, and you don't want it in your dictionary, but you took the deposition of Concepcion Gonzalez, and they mentioned her name about 67,000 times in this all-day depot. Guys, when you're going through spell check, you don't want that thing stopping on Concepcion every time. So when you're going through spell check, all you want to do is say ignore all. So every time that Concepcion comes up, it's just going to ignore it. Because one, it's going to tell you it doesn't know it. Two, it's going to tell you it's probably misspelled because it doesn't know it. So it's going to give you all these different suggestions of what they think that it is. And it's spelled correctly. Or, you know, you take the depot of Daryl Smith. Well, this Daryl spells it D-A-R-Y-L. Well, that's not the common use of, that's not the common spelling of Daryl. But that's the way he spells it, and that's the way that it's going to be correct in that depot. So it's not, you know, what is it, D-A-R-R-E-L-L? D-A-R-R-E-L-L? The regular Daryl. I mean, there's a lot of ways to spell Daryl, but I mean, whatever. We're going to say that D-A-R-R-E-L-L is the universal way that you spell Daryl. Okay? Well, that one's going to come up, and it's going to be number 1. Is this what you meant, Daryl? No. I meant D-A-R-Y-L, because it is Daryl. That's the way he spells it. And every time that it comes up, I want it to ignore it every time, because I don't want it to stop on it every time and ask me, hey, it's Daryl again, you know, you misspelled it, or, you know, whatever, which comes in handy because, you know, I just did a job and the kid's name was Rain. And it's like, I don't even know how he spelled it. So I just spelled it capital R-A-I-N, and I did it throughout the whole job. It's 260 something pages. And his name is R-A-Y-N-E, Rain. Okay? No big deal, whatever. But when you go through to spell check it, it's going to come up. You know, hey, you know, did you mean? It's not going to come up on Rain, you know, because Rain is spelled correctly. But if you had done it the other way and you did it R-A-Y-N-E, it's probably not going to know R-A-Y-N-E. But he spelled it R-A-I-N. Let's just say, I mean, just for giggles, that's the way that he spelled it. Then every time you could go through spell check, and every time it's going to come up on Rain, R-A-Y-N-E, R-A-Y-N-E, yeah. So it's going to come up there, and it's going to bring this thing up, and it's going to ask you, do you want to spell it that way? Nope. You just put your cursor right there, backspace, to the R-A, put the Y, put the I-N, and then it'll ask you if you want to change it. I want to change it. Or you can do it on change all, and it should change all of them. And if it doesn't, then it should go to the next one that it finds.
So like, if you had Rain and you had written it R-A-I-N, and then you were editing and you needed to have them all changed to R-A-Y-N-E, the fastest way that you would have done that is to global that change, or would you do it?
Well, you can global it, but I mean, sometimes the software is a little bit tricky because, you know, you can try to find it, which is F5. F5 is where you try to find something, okay? Well, you know what? I want to find every time I did Rain. So you put Rain in there, push OK, and it's going to start going down, and every time Rain is there, it's going to stop on Rain. Well, I want to replace it with RAYNE. Then you can replace it with RAYNE. Okay?
That's the fastest.
Yeah,
So that's, you said that was F5?
yeah. F5.
If you had that instance where the person's name is capital R-A-Y-N-E, and you had words that had the word rain in it, like constrain, or the rain came down, or whatever, would a global kind of mess you up with that, or is it better, would it be better to do it by each?
It's better to find it out, like I just told you, like F5. F5, because it's not going to come like on constraint. It's going to come to the first word. So it's not going to find every time it has, you know, if you
Has that
spelled
letter.
constrain and it was CONSTRAINE, I mean I-I-N,
R-A-I-N,
which is not the way you spell it anyway.
So if in a test like I had today, a proper name was Weber, was the last name.
Weber?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so, in an effort to, you know, I often would just, I did Web, because I had a proper name list and, you know, I would know it was Weber.
Mhm.
So would this be the right way that wherever it sees the word web, to replace it with Weber? Would that be-
Yeah.
okay.
And this won't change it in your dictionary, right? Just put that
No,
out.
yeah, it'll just change it for that. The find and replace is only for that job. Okay? Pretty neat little thing right there, though. But the Alt-S, way good stuff right there, guys. Because, you know, you can put it on any word, you know, and sometimes you don't know if, and it'll tell you if it's a one word, two word, hyphenated, you know, stuff like that. So it's actually pretty cool. Alt-O, print, okay? You can also, you know, output to an ASCII file too. No, I've never done it to an ASCII, so. This is pretty neat right here too, guys. Control L. Okay, say I went through and I did F5, okay? And I want to see every time that they have eclipse. Okay? I push enter, it takes me to the next time I have eclipse. Okay? Well, now I want to see when the next time they had eclipse again. Well, you don't have to do F5 again, shift F5, I mean F5 again. All you do is control L and it'll take you to the next eclipse. Do control L again and it'll take you to the next eclipse. So the word that you find out, the word that you find, that you try to find, it'll remember that word. Now, if you went to Eclipse and then you went, you know what, I want to see every time I did installing, and then you do installing, it's like, you know what, I want to try to find Eclipse and do Control L, it's not going to do it. It's the last one that you did. It remembers the last one that you did. Okay? So if you were searching out Eclipse, now it's going to do it every time you do Eclipse. And it's not going to change until you do it again. And if you want to find another word, then you have to go to, you know, F5 again.
So we would have to enter it in there, like today I had Officer Adams.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize that I didn't capitalize officer. So
Okay.
then I was there looking for the word officer, just.
Yeah, F5, find.
F5.
So every time that officer comes up, and they can just be saying, well, the officer went, well, the officer is not going to be capitalized. But if it says the officer, what was it? Adams was the one who came up, then it's, but it's going to go to every officer. And then you know.
You decide.
I mean, you know if it has Adams, then it needs to be capped, and it'll take you to officer every time. Write that down. Write that down.
Mine,
F5.
with the function key, I have to just do F. just F, and it brings up that same finding box. If I do F5, I go to the internet. Even that
Do the function?
function F5, takes it to the internet.
Really?
Yeah,
And I found out how to
replace.
disable the function.
Well, in hyperkeys, the F
Yes,
is fine.
Right. And
Is fine.
Yeah.
So if you're in hyperkeys, you don't have to do the F5. All you have to do is F. So write that down too. Right next to
Yeah.
F5, where it's find, F in hyperkeys, is find,
Right.
okay? And then Control L takes you back, takes you to that word every time. Got it? Got it? Okay.
It just did.
Huh?
It just did.
And it went to officer?
Yeah.
And then do Control L, takes you to the next officer. Control L takes you to the next officer. Next officer. Write this stuff down, guys, because you think you're going to remember it and you're not. You know, just like I ask you every week how you turn on hyperkeys, and we're still Control Shift Space Bar Delete L. No, Alt Z. Okay. So the more you write it down, the more you see it, the more you're going to remember it. Okay. Okay. You know, and again it says, is it Control or Alt? There's no absolute answer. You know, for speed keys, we try to use the letters that are closest to what you need to do. Okay? So that's what they tried to do. But with these, it's just kind of, you know, random. I mean, not random, but they try to keep it right there on your right hand, and they make it real easy. And once you learn it, it's going to be really easy. And it's going to come. And the more you use it, the more, just like anything, the more you use it, the more second nature is going to become, okay? So you really, need to use it. Okay. This is actually pretty neat too. I'm going to show you something right here. Since there are no hyperkeys assigned to the punctuation keys, you will not need to press N to type, insert apostrophes, period, etc. Okay, right here, if you needed to put an apostrophe in there, you do Alt-A. See that? See what it just did? Alt-A again puts it on the outside. See what it keeps doing? So you can just keep doing Alt-A. Now it's going to ask you, what are you trying to do? You've already pressed it several times. What are you trying to do? Pick one. So, then it's going to start asking you what you want to do. But, if you want to, that's how you do it. Alt-A. Write it down. Puts an apostrophe. So if you want to make something possessive, and it doesn't matter what it is, the children's cars or the children's clothes, the boy's bike, and it's like, oh man, I need to shift over. So now it's, L, shift over, oh, I went too far. Now put the, guys, you just wasting time right there. So Alt-A makes it possessive.
And it looks like you can, as long as it's anywhere in the word, your
Yeah,
cursor.
anywhere. It doesn't matter.
It knows where to put it.
Yeah.
And it adds a S onto the end if you don't have
Mhm.
one. That's awesome.
Or if it already has an
Right.
S and it doesn't need the S, it just needs the apostrophe,
Yeah.
then you just keep doing Alt A and it'll put the apostrophe at the end. Okay? Pretty cool little thing right there too. Alt A.
How do you punctuate PM?
I'm sorry?
How do you punctuate PM? Is it, it's little p, period, m, or little m?
I do P period, M period.
Okay.
Everybody does it a little bit different. And, you know, it's all gonna depend when you get out what your boss wants you to do.
But
you
you
know.
do the lowercase?
I do, yeah, always lowercase. And I think I don't know if we've talked about time or not. No, I think we did it on our Monday class. But, you know, when they say 10 o'clock, everybody does it different. You know, and the way that I learned was 10 o'clock is TEN o'clock. 10 o'clock. Because the other way, if you do it like this, and you put 11 o'clock, the way that I learned it was that's 11 o'clock, o'clock. So now you've just done it twice,
Right.
okay?
What about the people that say to do the numerical 11 with the o'clock written out? Or is that what you're saying you do?
No, I do ELEVEN, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do the words because then,
Words with words and then the
Yeah.
numbers with the PM and AM.
yeah. So it's words with words and numbers with PM
Easier.
or just stand alone, okay? You know, and again, that's kind of personal preference. I mean, you can do it however you want. You know, I think it's a little redundant when you put 11 like this and then put o'clock.
Yeah.
If they say 11 o'clock, but I mean, if that's the way you want to do it and, you know, your boss is okay with you doing it, you know, whatever. I don't know that they're going to take off on the state test for it. I don't know. I don't even remember. But, you know, it'd be something to find out, you know, if they would take off for that or not. I don't think that they would. But, and here's kind of the same thing, you know. It is 11 p.m. and stands still working. So what would you do there?
Alt A.
Alt A.
Alt A. And there it is. Pretty cool, huh? And if we want to put a period at the end of the sentence, even right here, how do we do it?
P.
P. Or you can be right there and do Q, and it puts it. Okay? So you can be right there and do P, Q, and it puts it. Or you can be at the first word of that sentence and do P, and it puts it, and takes you to the end of that sentence.
Does it replace, like if you had a period and you put supposed to be a question mark, it replaced it?
Yeah. So it just toggles whatever you had. I mean, not toggles, but it puts whatever you had. So it doesn't put like a,
Oh, okay.
if there was a period, it doesn't leave the period, then put a question mark. It automatically changes it.
Okay.
Okay? So same thing right here, Alt A. Mine's done. It's Alt A. Time to reset. Ooh. And they're kind of asking for punctuation there. You want to put comma right there. Yes, we did. Comma. But I use hyperkeys in AutoMagic. Okay, got it? All right. Any questions about that? Any questions about the stuff we just covered? Movements? Any questions about movements? Moving over a character? How do you move right a character? A character.
Shift out.
Capital L.
Shift out. Hyperkeys? How do you turn it on? Print? And to get into a new file? Oops key? Okay, very good. I'm going to teach you guys something yet. All right. You know, that was kind of weird. They didn't have any. I don't think they had a video on there, did they? On the movements. What's it do? It didn't. No. How do you make the screen bigger? Like I just did.
F11 or F8?
Pick one.
Which one is it?
Pick one.
Shift, Control F7.
F7.
Control Shift
Oh, Control Shift.
F7.
Shift.
And smaller,
F8 is
Okay,
Control Shift.
Control Shift F8.
or 11 or 15 or
Just press till something
yeah,
happens.
just start pressing stuff. It's awesome. Okay, now we're going to talk about oops and delete. Okay, and we've kind of covered it already, so you know, it should go fairly quick. But hyperkey small z is the oops. So if you do something and you messed up, don't freak out. It goes to the end of the document, don't freak out. Make sure you're back in hyperkeys, press small z, takes you back. Shift Z is the movement oops. Okay, and we'll go over that. It's the last edit point that you were at. Okay? So the last edit point, just remember that. D is delete a word. Small d in hyperkeys is delete a word. And then Shift D is delete a character. Okay? Write that down. All right. Now they're going to show you a little video.
Let's see how the oops and delete keys work. The oops key work. The oops key can undo editing steps. The command is Control Z or hyperkey Z. For example, if I add a suffix to specific and I pick the wrong one, I could use the oops key to undo my mistake.
You see what it did right there? So say you go in there, and how are you going to add a prefix or a suffix in hyperkeys? We've gone over this too.
Type it in, or
Yeah.
no?
No,
No.
it adds it. Automatically adds it. W. W is the prefixes and suffixes. So press it right now. Press W on your, and it should come up. And kind of go down that list and see, and then kind of try to put the letter with what you're trying to do. Okay? So G is going to be ING. E, I think, is going to be EST. S is going to be S or ES. Blah, blah, blah. D is going to be ED. You see it? So that's what they did right there. He went in there, pushed W, put a suffix on. It was wrong. Push Z. It did a command, but it didn't fix it. Push Z again, then it fixed it and put it back to what the word was. Okay? I'm going to rewind it a little bit and kind of show you again exactly what he did. All right? Ready?
I add a suffix to specific, and I pick the wrong one, I could use the oops key to undo my mistake.
See what he did there? Pretty neat right there, guys. Way cool. So if you wanted to make it specifically, how would you do that? And it was specific.
W and then L.
And then L. And you don't have to worry about putting double L's. It already knows what to do. It's going to put the correct thing on there. So if it's one L, it's going to put L-Y. If it's two, it's going to change it and put the A-L-L-Y. It's going to know to change it.
How often do you have to use that?
I use it a ton.
Really?
A ton, yeah.
Like you can just tell.
Because you'd be surprised because like even, you know, in some of my writing, I stack a little bit. So, you know, I'll put something with an ending G with the beginning T. And it's like, you can define it, you know, and that's fine. You can have it in your dictionary if it always comes up like that you know, and there's a way to put it in your dictionary. We're going to talk about that too. You know, that if you know, you stack or stuff like that, you have a tendency, or if you just write that way, I mean, and you hear it that way, and it makes you faster, use it.
And
Use
stacking
it.
is where.
Like, I mean, like you're going so fast that by the time you're doing G, you're kind of coming up with that finger, you're already pressing T, and they're on the same line. That's called stacking. So really it was two different strokes, but it made it on the same line, so it made it one stroke. They made it look like it was one stroke, and it wasn't. That's what they call stacking. Okay? So there's a way of putting it in your dictionary that it knows every time that it's TG, I don't have a stroke for TG, but every time it's TG, I want it to be the suffix ing with whatever word it is, the next word the. Because I do the, which is T. I don't know how you cats do it the other way, or if y'all, you know. But, I mean, and that's, you know, so yes, I use it every day, a lot. I use it a lot, okay? And you'd be surprised, I mean, you know, how sometimes when you're going so fast, you know, you heard him say he was reading the document when he was readings the doc, and I'm just throwing stuff out there. But, I mean, you just left off an S, no big deal. Or you just put read, R-E-A-D, and it was readings. The readings were fabulous this morning in church. Oh man, I just put read, no big deal. W, G, W, S, puts ing, and then puts the S on the end of ings. I mean on the end of ing. Pretty neat. I'll show you that in a little bit. But I mean, this is how you do it. So that's what he was doing, was he kind of did it the hard, and I'm going to go back and show you, he did it the hard way. He went into, you know, one of these, into the file or whatever and to get his, but all you have to do is W. W brings up your suffixes and prefixes and suffixes. Watch what he does.
Pick
See? See what he did?
Control Z or hyperkey Z. For example, if I add a suffix to specific,
See? He went in here when it's just W. But he went in here to go to the edit and get into prefixes and suffixes, and he's trying to find it. But we already know it's W, correct?
Right.
Correct.
All right, write that down because I'm going to be asking you. So, you know, that's how he did. So I don't want you to think that there's this different way of, I mean, there is. This is the hard way of doing it. In hyperkeys, that's the way that you do it. Just W.
and I pick the wrong one, I could use the oops key.
Let me go back a little bit too.
And
And that'll show you right here too, all of these different endings that it has, you know? And I think you kind of looked at it. I mean, it has all kinds of stuff, okay? So it's pretty neat.
I pick the wrong one, I could use the oops key to undo my mistake. I like to think of the command to move back to my last edit point as a movement oops key. The default speed key is Shift-Alt-L, but the hyperkey is capital Z. That is Z with the Shift key.
And that's what we were talking about, going back to the last edit point, okay? And he's getting ready to show you.
Accidentally give a command that loses my editing spot and perhaps opens a dialog, I'll immediately press the escape key and not do any further editing until I've pressed the movement oops key. To delete a whole word.
So what you can do there is if it does, and like I told you, if it takes you to the end of the document, don't freak out. Or if it takes you to that thing that it just showed, go to page or whatever, and you're on a totally different page, don't freak out. Press escape, make sure you're in hyperkeys, and you can do the Shift Z, or you can just keep doing Z, and it'll take you back to that point, okay? You know, and you may have done a few things because you're like, oh, you know, I need to type this thing in. Well, you forgot to press N, which is insert, which means you want to insert characters and words and whatever, and you just start typing, and you've typed 3 or 4 letters. Well, you've done 3 or 4 commands because you forgot to turn off hyperkeys, okay? Does that make sense? Am I making sense, guys? Okay, you forgot to turn off hyperkeys, so now you've done like 3 or 4 commands. Now you're at the end of the page, and you've already done 3 commands. You added a prefix to something, you capitalized another word, and then you went to the end of the document, because that's what you asked it to do in the 3 strokes that you just did. And you have no idea that you just did that, because you just started typing. No big deal. Don't freak out. And then it takes you to the go-to page. Press escape. Whatever you're in, just press escape. Or if it takes you to the end of the document and you see that your cursor is still big, you know that you're in hyperkeys, just start pressing Z. Don't start moving around and like, oh yeah, press Z, because you've already messed it up now. Because now you've told the computer to do something totally different, and now it doesn't remember the commands that you just did. Okay? So just start pressing Z and it'll take you back to where you were. Okay?
Just press hyperkey D or speed key control backspace. Here I doubled this word. I'll delete it. I'll immediately press the escape key and not do any further editing.
See, you went to a fill in the blank line or whatever. That's not what you wanted to do. You press escape right there. You see that your cursor is big, so you know that you're in hyperkeys. Just start pressing Z or the Shift Z. Okay?
Until I've pressed the movement oops key. To delete a whole word, just press hyperkey D or speed key control backspace. Here I doubled this word. I'll delete it. To delete one character at a time, press hyperkey capital D.
You see what it's saying? So if you just want to delete one character, one letter, then it's Shift D. But more times than not, you're going to delete a word. So that's why they make it the easier one. The small letter is the one that you're going to use most. Okay? That makes sense? It should. Because the one that you're going to use most is the smaller letter. The other one is going to be the shift. Because they want you to keep your hands on the keys as much as possible until you need to do something that you're not used to doing or whatever. Then then you use the shift or control or whatever. Okay?
Or use the delete key on your computer keyboard. Sometimes you rewrite a line and then you want to delete it during editing. Control Y will delete or yank.
Control Y deletes a whole line. A whole line. Okay? So get into your, is everybody in one of their jobs? Okay. You can get in the middle of a sentence. Get in the middle of a sentence somewhere, it doesn't even matter where. Yeah, it's gonna be right there. And just do Control Y. Control Y. And then just delete that whole thing. Okay. Did you try it? Control Y?
Yeah.
And it'll take that whole sentence out. Okay? Wake up. And then just do Z and it brings it back.
Little Z.
Yeah. It should be in hyperkeys.
The text of the entire line. But Alt-Y will only delete from your cursor position to the end of the line. And Shift-Alt.
Did you see what that did? So wherever you are, you can be in the middle of that sentence. And you do Alt-Y, it only deletes from there forward. Okay? To the end of that line. Okay?
And
Got
it's-
it?
And it's for the end of the sentence or the end of the line?
Try it. You tell me.
And I can get this back?
Z brings it back.
Let's check.
Alt-Y.
It's just the line.
And then Z. But get into the middle of that line.
Oh, that was from the middle of the line.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have deleted the whole line.
Well, it was for Alt-Y, is what I did.
Yeah,
And so from the point where my cursor was, it just deleted the rest of the line.
the rest of the line.
Yeah.
Okay? Pretty neat. Control Y does what?
Deletes the line.
The whole line. Alt-Y
From the point of the cursor.
from the point of the cursor to the end of the line. Okay? Now this one,
Yank the text of the entire line. But Alt-Y will only delete from your cursor position to the end of the line. And Shift-Alt-Y will delete from cursor position to the end of the paragraph.
that one is pretty cool. You don't have to mark the whole thing, Shift 7, go all the way down. Now you just do it. It's only going to take you to the end of the paragraph. So if it's to the end of that answer, then it'll take you to the end of that answer, or, unless the answer was several paragraphs long, then it'll take you just to the end of that paragraph.
And you use that regularly?
I don't use it I really don't use it that much. If for some reason you need to, I'll be honest with you, I don't even use the Alt-Y that often.
Because how often do you need to delete that much?
Most of the time you're going to delete the whole line, because I need to delete that line and go. So, I can't sit here and say that I haven't. I have used it, but I don't use it that often. But it's something good to know. It's good to know, because if you want to wipe out that whole rest of the sentence or, the rest of that paragraph, then it's good to know. Okay?
Let's say I included the wrong certificate page in this transcript. I could hit the Mark key, then Control page down to get to the end of the file, and then press the Delete key. Eclipse will ask if I really want to delete that much of the document, and in this case, I'll answer yes.
That's just deleting whatever you want, okay? And I have done that before, where you put in a block file and it's just, that wasn't where I wanted it. No big deal. You just mark it F7, or how do you mark it in hyperkeys? M. And then just push delete. The good thing about this software is it's always going to kind of back you up. It's always going to ask you, are you sure this is what you want to do? Yes. So it has backups to it.
So you just press a letter D, right?
Now here you would have to push delete. I don't know that D would work there, because D is just is one word.
I think it worked.
Did it? I've never done it that way, so I don't know. I don't even know if they teach it that way.
Oh.
But you may have come on to something. So try it. Did you?
Yeah, it works.
It does?
If it's on the first letter of the word.
Hmm?
If it's on the first character of the word.
So I'm gonna
So do F7?
mark these words.
You may have to do, yours may have to be function. Okay. Maybe arrow down. So keep it on function.
That arrow?
Yeah.
Are you taking it underneath? Yeah.
Or take it there.
If I just marked all of that,
Mhm.
and then I'm just hitting the D, it's fine.
Oh, cool.
On the back.
Okay, and you did it through M? Okay, do it through shift, do it through F7.
See, mine's gonna take me to the end of it. Shift F7?
Shift F7.
That's how
Do
we
function F7.
Function, so. Oh, there we go. Oh, okay, there we go.
Now do D.
Yep.
Yeah. Good. Awesome. Just learned something tonight. So, we just found out that you can do M and mark it, and then do D and it will delete it, or you can push delete. The only thing about D is it's going to delete it. The good thing about pushing delete is it's going to ask you, do you want to do it? So it's almost like a backup. So that's probably why they don't tell you to do D, is because it's automatically going to do it. So if you know that that's exactly what you want to do, perfect. But be careful with that too. But all you have to do is push the Z key, which is what? Oops.
Oh.
Huh?
I said Z, I was like, what else is the Z? The Z.
Go sit outside for a little bit.
Go to the corner.
Yeah. All right. Any questions about that?
No.
A lot of stuff in there, guys. A lot of stuff we just covered. Okay? We are writing it down? Yeah? Okay. Okay, so this is just a little. So how would we do it right there? How would we do, so what's this, and they put two S's, how would you do it there?
Big. D.
Little
Hmm?
D, right?
Shift D.
Shift D. So try it.
So first do we need to do shift L, L, L to get to the S and then do
Yeah.
shifty.
Mm-hmm. Which that's not really my favorite command, because you still kind of have to move around a bit. To me, put it there, backspace, we'll do the same thing. You know, if you're gonna delete the first character of the word, then it works out. Okay? And we'll kind of go through some other stuff, and they're going to kind of show you how to delete a character also, and some other stuff. But so if you want to delete that word, how would you do it?
Little b.
How would you do it?
D.
D. D. How would I get it back?
Oops.
Z. Okay. All right. That's all of that. Covered a lot of stuff, guys. It may not seem like it. It should. It really should, because we covered a lot of stuff tonight. Okay? So, how do you turn on hyperkeys? Huh? Alt Z. Alt Z. How do you print?
Alt L.
Get into a new file? How are you going to insert something?
And
Delete a word?
D, little d,
Yeah, little b.
Delete a character?
big D. 50.
How am I going to move over a word? Right?
L.
Up a sentence?
I.
How am I going to mark something?
Yeah.
N or F7.
You said up a sentence with that be shift there.
No.
No.
Should go up. You go up one
I
sentence.
thought I was just one line now.
Yeah, one line.
Okay, one line.
Yeah. Not the whole sentence, just a line. So to come up one line is I. To go down one line, yeah. Over one character. Over to the right one character.
Shift J. Or to the right, sorry, L.
Yeah. Shift out. Print. How do I put a period at the end of a sentence?
Shift B.
Just P.
B.
And a question mark at the end of the sentence?
Q.
Mm-hmm. What's Shift P gonna do?
Something else.
Good question. Huh?
Something else. I know.
Wait till I turn this.
Shift P gives you a new paragraph.
Are you burning something? What did it do?
And that's when Lisa blew up in class.
What did it do? All right.
I went into to take the function key off, disable it,
Yeah.
and it was in that BIOS, and I don't know, I guess it makes a bad sound in there.
All
I
right.
have to do it at home.
What does Shift P do?
New paragraph.
Shift P, it says paragraph answer.
New paragraph.
Yeah.
So a fixed line. Try it.
Oh.
Did it do it?
Yes.
Okay. How would you bring up the prefixes, suffixes?
W.
Very good. All right. That's us for this week. Guys, go over this stuff. We covered a lot of stuff today. We've covered a lot of stuff in the last couple of weeks. So use the stuff, okay? We'll see y'all next week.